Greetings everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to try to draw something kind of fun. I'm going to try to draw Po, the Kung Fu Panda. I'm going to see if I can do this kind of quick. It'll be in my style. And yeah, there's no pre-penciling here and I don't have any references. It's basically going to be in black and white. I'll probably add a little bit of color just for like a couple of things, but I don't know. Let's see here. First, let's zoom in a little bit on this and lock it down just enough. I'll start off as I normally do. Actually, you know what? Let's try to figure out how we want the eyes to be. So, Po makes a lot of great faces. I'm going to have one eye like that, and the other one, let's have it kind of squinting a little bit, because I think that's funny. And now do the nose. Things will get to fill in a little bit more here as we go along. Let's see if I can get that to kind of, I don't know what's going on here. Come on, lock in. It's kind of struggling at the moment. That's strange. All right, well, we'll see if it'll kind of do something here for us. We're going to go for larger eyes, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to put in the iris like that. Kind of keep them a little bit the same with a little glimmer there. Oh, you know what would have been a great idea? If I just did solid green around the pupil. That probably would have been way better. I'm going to use the bunny pen here. You get this green. I'm just going to, yeah, I think solid green around would have been way better. That's all right though. We can move past that. Fill in the nose a little bit, although I'm going to bring out brush and water here soon anyway. We're going to make kind of a semi-serious and semi-funny face. So the lip's moving off to one side, but that doesn't mean automatically that the teeth are going to move too. I'm going to leave the teeth here like this. They're going to be a little human-like, but not exactly. Bears, like people, are kind of like omnivores. They'll eat whatever and anything, although the diet of these particular types of animals is generally very controlled. But Po likes noodles and things like that, so that is okay. We'll give him a little bit of a lower lip there and a chin here. I'm going to work on some of the styling around the face. Now this side I said we're going to kind of have squinting a little bit. Well, let's have this be kind of almost like, not really an angry side, but an inquisitive side. And then we'll rough that in. This side will be kind of the surprise, tell me more sort of face that we're going to make. I'll fill that in roughly. I'll add more detail after I bring out the brush and water to kind of fill that in a little bit. The face, let's see. Well, up here, actually, let's start with the top of the head. Give it that. divide in the cranium. I'll let it come down a little bit, sort of a wider cheek. Like that. Ear-wise, not very big ears. We'll give him kind of the ears that he has in the animation, just a little bit. Maybe we'll do something like that. I'm going kind of quick here because I don't need to put in lots of detail for this part. Tongue will let fit inside the mouth like this. And some of it's going to get blurry as well when I bring out the brush and water. You know, this is also a good time to get the bunny pen again. And I'll use pink in here, which will kind of gray out a little bit with brush and water. Okay, that's easy enough. Now, I don't know lots about Kung Fu poses, but we're going to try to figure out something here in a moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back this out just a little bit. See if I can get it to kind of lock down in some way. You can see the kind of blurry mess that I'm just about to make. Come on. All right. So I'm going to give him a very wide neck, at least in my mind. Body-wise, kind of a short body. And he would have very short legs. And then the upper legs, which turn out to be his arms, they're going to be quite a bit longer. Let's go with a leg here. So he's going to have this one raised a little bit, like that, let's say. I'll just rough this in just a little bit. It wouldn't be very long. Bring that up just a little bit more. You probably can't see exactly what I'm doing. And I don't know if I'm going to have like sandals or not. Now this leg here, support wise, I'm going to have very short legs, as I said. We're going to go there like that. This part of the body here, he's going to have his shoulder cross in front of his body just a little bit, I think. As I said, we're going to have longer arms. This would be palm here, thumb on this side. So yeah, I don't know how much of the detail you can see with what I'm doing. And then, So the part of the pectoral muscle would go into the shoulder here. We'll have the arm elevated. This would be part of the forearm going here to the fist. Something like this. Okay, that's kind of roughly where I want it to be with that. Let's rough in some of the shorts. Up here, same sort of thing. Now, kind of a high waistband, but I do believe there's like kind of like stylized banding. We're going to lose a little bit on that side. Okay, something like that. Now, just from the way his body is constructed, the upper part of his, what would be his arms, his chest, they are generally all in black. And I'm going to leave sort of like a light part here. All right. Just making kind of a quick little mess now, because I'm going to soon bring out brush and water. The pads of his hands are a little bit different. And again, I'm not going to put in lots of detail because I'm definitely going to be making a mess here very soon. And then I can go back in and do some correction on this after. So this is another suggestion of sorts from Cario, or Cat. Oh, I might be getting that name wrong. It's like Catito, maybe, who suggested that I draw Garfield a little bit ago, which I obliged because Garfield is awesome and fun to draw, so I drew Garfield. And this is another one of those suggestions. So as I said, this isn't going to be exactly like what you would have seen in the movies because, well, I don't usually try to draw things exactly what I see other people do. I don't really like to copy anyway. So long as I can capture something of what that is. Now I'm just putting this in, and I'm still not sure if I want to have sort of like sandals or something, like little shoes or whatever. I may come up with something after the fact. So, almost ready for the next thing. So the messiness is about to happen. All right. Close to 15 minutes at this point. I'm going to get brush and water. Let's zoom in on this. So I think that sort of captures the spirit of Poe. I can add a bit more detail after anyway, but right now this is just to kind of fill in a few things. Tone and texture and shadow is what we're going to do at this point. if you're ever at a zoo outside of China and you see a panda bear, you'll probably know what I'm going to say. Those creatures are beloved, and more than likely they are on loan. So the zoo would not actually own the creature. And at the same time, there's usually some sort of like a program that they're part of where they're hoping to kind of increase the population of them. So it's kind of a big deal, panda bears. Here's another thing I'm going to ramble on about. From the movies, you probably know that it appears that most of the kung fu that you would see, they have an animal attached to certain styles. So, and they're in a lot of ways based on, I shouldn't say in a lot of ways, generally, I guess you could say they're based on the Chinese zodiac, for example. So you'd have like a horse style, you'd have monkey, and you'd have crane, like a bird, and you'd have tiger. But there isn't one for the panda bear. So Po, more than likely, has combinations of different styles. So one would be kind of like created specifically for him. Oop. I don't know if I'd say that this looks exactly like Po. I hope. Oop, I'm going to try getting a little bit more water on this. And then, okay, I'm going to get a little bit at the nose here. And this blurring that I'm doing is just filling in some of the mist, the spots that I missed. Inside the mouth here. And I'm going to drag some of the extra ink over the tongue so that it kind of sits in shadow inside the mouth so it doesn't have to look so obvious. Just like that. That's not so bad. Go a little bit around the mouth here, and then I'll add detail, like I said, after. More shadow underneath the top row of teeth. A little bit here under the lip, and on this side here as well. Go over to this side. It kind of adds a little bit of depth to hide the molars back here. A little under the lip. Around the chin. I'm going to add a little bit of shade underneath the chin. So nothing too serious. Now, hopefully I left a lot of ink on the upper body here. Let's see what we can do with that. I'm going to go out a level, if it'll let me. No, maybe not quite so far. Let's go to there. Okay, so I'm going to sweep in some shading of the fur. Now it's not going to be pitch black because I didn't put that much ink there to begin with to let that happen that way. I can revisit that if I wish, but I want to make sure that I can differentiate body parts for my own sake, for my own sketchbook. And it just makes it fun to know that this is a shoulder, This is where the arm is. That kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So that's there. Let's go to the back of this arm just a little bit. And that blurry kind of look that happens, I think looks kind of neat. It is kind of unfinished in a way, but I think what makes it kind of fun is that your brain will help to finish it to some degree. So you don't have to spend 3 hours working on something. And again, if it's for your sketchbook, you don't have to spend 3 hours. I mean, you can, but you don't have to spend 3 hours working on it. I'm at just under 22 minutes so far. We're going to move down just a little bit here, work on this shoulder. I go in a circular sort of pattern, coming away from the back just a little bit. Now I really didn't use a lot of ink there. That's okay. We'll tell ourselves it's because his fur is so glossy in the moonlight. Yeah, that's it, glossy. So yeah, check what kind of markers you have at home. Markers can do this. So I'm using a very specific type of ink that's water-based. But you can find out what markers you have, and if your markers can do this. This is a really fun thing to do. As I said, I'm going to go back into this to add details after. We're not really going to go that much more than, half an hour to 40 minutes or what have you. Everything I'm doing is in real time without any edits, which is typical for me to do. Let's go to the legs here next. And this is just going to be some quick stuff going on here with the legs too. And I haven't decided on footwear yet, or if I will at all, I don't know. But I'm letting it sit blank for now. I kind of like the idea of perhaps having like some sort of sandal though. So maybe I'll do that, I don't know. Let's work on this other leg here. Panda bears are pretty cool. Okay, now let us add a few sort of details back in. We don't need to have lots and lots of detail. This kind of blurry look I do kind of like anyway, in my own kind of style. Just cleaning the brush here very quickly. Set the cup aside. A little bit of detail I will add back in around the eyes. So I'm going to zoom back in on the face just a little bit tighter. And see what we can do. So the little tear duct, which for the most part you're not going to know that I put in the tear duct, but I do that for my own sake. And that, in a way, helps me reference where I want eyelids to show. Now this is a creature with fur, of course, so you're not really going to see folds of skin, but I like to have expression in cartoon faces anyway. I know it sort of adds a strange kind of human-like quality, but, you know, for the most part, bears don't talk or know kung fu, so this just kind of helps relate in some way. I'm going to add just hints up here of the upper brow, which I could have done with brush and water, but I only thought of that just now. I'm going to add a little bit of, let's call it lash detail, so a little darkening around the eye, as if Po has some eyelashes. And it sets the eye in just a little bit. So I don't know if that detail is coming through on the camera. Next, I'm going over to this side. Just putting in some of that detail that may have been lost. This is the upper eye here, so if the eye is roughly that, you know what I mean? It would naturally be a wider eye. Squinting a little bit. A little bit of the darkening as if there's some eyelash again. Now we're going to go to the teeth, and as you can see, I put in a little bit of shading underneath the lip here. I'm going to add in unnecessary